So hello, everybody. For those of you who were at our session last week, this is a follow-up to the Comp 101 planning session that we did Tuesday of last week. For those of you that were not there, and this is the kind of one that you wanted to attend, welcome. The goal for today is to get into some advanced compensation planning practices, and we've got a couple of comp plan kind of experts on the call here. So Ryan Milligan, VP of RevOps at QuotaPath, Graham Collins, Chief of Staff over at QuotaPath. And we got the Halloween candy kind of question out of the way, guys. So I'll turn it over to you, Graham, because I know you're gonna kind of pull up the slides and kind of walk through those things. But first, obviously, we got to hear, like, tell us, who are you for Halloween? Because one, I mean, or if this is the Graham that the folks at QuotaPath see day in and day out, that's also cool. But what is your costume as for Halloween? And then Ryan, you're gonna have to do the same thing, my friend, when we get to you.
Yeah, so Graham Collins, Chief of Staff at QuotaPath. I do not always wear this outfit. I got a brand new cowboy hat recently, and so I decided to rock just a cowboy outfit for Halloween. And then it was pretty quickly pointed out to me that I am doing a good Heath Ledger from Brokeback Mountain. So maybe I'm Heath Ledger from Brokeback Mountain for Halloween.
And or cowboy. I like it.
Nice to see you all. I'm Ryan Milligan, VP of RevOps here at QuotaPath. My family, for Halloween, I'm a lobsterman. I have the bib and everything on, and then pants and whatever. And then my wife and kids are all lobsters. So we are having a lot of fun with it this year.
I love it. I love it. And I will, as I let people in, I'll just apologize for disappointing anyone who kind of wanted me to dress up. I'm sorry that I did not. I'm just coming as my normal self today. But later, I will be wearing a Halloween mask, a skeleton mask, as I go out trick-or-treating with my kids. And so what I want to do now, though, is actually, Graham, I'll hand it over to you to start to get into kind of some of the content and the topics today. And like I said, as we kind of go through this and Graham and Ryan start to share and kind of walk through the content, please put any questions that you have in the chat. We'll make sure that we get to them as we go. And again, if you want to kind of ask something live, raise your hand. Just kind of do that over Zoom as well, and we'll make sure that you can kind of get the stage. So Graham, I'll let you kind of take it from here.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Matt. So quickly running through the agenda, who we are, state of the market, and then we've identified 5 levers to pull in 2024 to maximize or optimize your drive sales productivity. How about that? And then we do have a Q&A section at the end here. I was saying that we have probably 35 minutes worth of material at best here. So we can either end early or y'all can give us some good questions. We did have already 2 good questions from last session around BDR/SDR plans and around usage-based plans. So we've provided a couple of slides around that we will get to near the end of this. Already talked a little bit about ourselves, who we are. I have much longer hair than that and much less facial hair, but so first off, we've got a QR code there for you. This is for our Comp Trends survey. We did a survey of over 450 sales, RevOps, and finance professionals, asking them about compensation, sales compensation. One of the questions that we asked, so please grab that, download that, save it for later, what have you. But one of the questions we asked was around where you needed to make improvements in your sales compensation management. These were the top 5 answers, and these shouldn't come as a surprise to y'all. It didn't come as a surprise to me. Alignment to business goals, simplifying the plan, optimization, visibility, and automation. Those are the top 5, and we will talk through a bunch of those and exactly how they are impacted by those 5 levers we talked about. But before we dive into that, talking a little bit about the state of the market and what you need to care about. Back in 2020, 2021 probably, we had kind of a grow at all costs mentality, but that isn't necessarily the mentality that organizations have anymore. So Ryan, can you talk a little bit about cash flow, profitability, and what we're focusing on now?
Yeah, so really what you're seeing from finance teams and then trickling down into comp plans and comp design is how can you design a comp plan for your team, especially as you go into 2024, that focuses on better efficiency of your sales team. And so what we're going to talk about a lot today is how do we make sure that your plans for next year are aligned to metrics that are important for the business and that help maintain cash flow for you as you see growth. So that's a big focus of ours here today.
Excellent. So as promised, here are the, did I skip a slide? No, I don't think I did.
Good.
Here are the 5 levers to pull. That number 1 is to identify the North Star metric, and we're going to do a deep dive into each of these. Don't worry, I'm not just going to fly through them. Number 1, identify your North Star metric. 2, conduct a comp plan health check. 3, uncover what motivates your reps. 4, provide visibility. And finally, use variable compensation outside of just direct sales.
Hey, Graham, that's not a typo, the 1% in the bottom there, is that right?
Not a typo. Yeah, only 1% of RevOps feel confident that their plans align to and drive the KPIs. Thank you so much for that transition, Matt, because that gives us right into the identifying your North Star metric. So while Ryan is talking a little bit about this, as he's describing it, I'd love if y'all could toss in the chat as well. What is your company's North Star metric? What is it that you care about, or your metric X? What is it you're solving for? So Ryan, fire away.
Yeah, so one of the questions, Graham and I do a lot of comp plan consulting in the market and are happy to talk to you about your comp plans more one-on-one as well. But one of the things we ask is the first question is, hey, what is the goal of your business this year? Like, what are the big metrics you want to move? So some examples that we see a lot are, hey, I want more of my revenue to be in longer term contracts. It's like a big priority for us. Or I want to increase my average contract value or average selling price. I want to start getting into the mid-market or enterprise, and I want my ACV to grow. Or I want to close renewals earlier and improve my gross revenue retention. And so it's really important for how you think about your comp plans for next year is like, what is that one metric that if you could move sizably, you would be really happy with? And then how do you take your comp plans for everybody in the organization and align them to that North Star metric? And that's really what I would think the goal of how you think about comp plan design should be. So let's take an example. Here at QuotaPath, for example, we were looking. Actually, sorry, I'll jump into the examples.
Yeah. So the examples I think is after here, and so, but some of the metrics that we see in various different stages of the companies are going to be things like customer acquisition cost, or your burn multiple. So how much revenue you're generating versus how much money you're burning, or gross revenue retention, net revenue retention. So focusing on either growing your customer base that you have, growing the money that they're spending with you, or hanging on to the revenue that they're spending with you. So again, it seems that net revenue retention was a really big metric for a lot of organizations historically, because it was like, how many upsells can you get was kind of the exciting thing that we were focusing on. However, in the current climate, it's more like gross revenue retention. How much of your revenue can you hang on to in the current environment? So those are some examples that we see most often for metrics. And I see some in the chat here, some revenue retention, ACV, NSE. I don't know if I know what NSE stands for, but that's another good example. And so depending upon as Ryan was saying, depending upon what that metric is, we have a bunch of different recommendations here. And these are, I always like to give some real world examples of what we're seeing. So Ryan, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like an example, let's say if you want to drive a higher percentage, we're working with a customer who wanted to drive a higher percentage of their revenue into multi-year deals, for example, or more of their contracts in longer term deals. So what they decided to do was, okay, let's take the entire organization and point them all towards locking in revenue in longer term contracts. So that's all the way from the BDR at the front of the cycle, who you could say, hey, I want you to bring in more demos that are ICP because our ideal customer profile tends to sign longer term deals, right? So I'm going to give you more money, something in the scope of your control as a BDR, if you can bring in an ICP demo versus a non-ICP demo, because they tend to sign on for multi-year contracts at a higher rate. Then let's take a sales team member, an account executive who runs new business deals and say, I'm going to give you a higher commission rate if you sign multi-year deals. So maybe you have a 3x or 4x quota to OTE ratio. So you have a 12.5% base commission rate, and that jumps to 15% for 2-year deals and 20% for 3-year deals, as an example. And then on the account management and retention side, I'm going to give account managers or customer success managers extra points, or just points of the revenue that they convert from 1-year to 2-year contracts, or 2-year to 3-year contracts. And so what you have here as an example is you have 3 different positions within the org who are all incentivized and bonused on driving something that is more of a longer term commitment. So we saw this customer going from 3% of their revenue in multi-year contracts up to 30+% of their revenue in multi-year contracts, because you've aligned every single person towards that thing. So whatever that thing is for your business, whatever your North Star metric is, my ask of you is, as you build comp plans for next year more tactically, try to tie what the individual human is doing to a movement in that metric for your business. And so we have some other examples on spiffs on a CAC. If lower CAC for outbound, we do higher rates for outbound source deals. Or if you're solving for cash flow, you pay them half the commission when the deal is closed, and the other half when the dollars actually come in from your invoicing system. So you have ways to align your entire org to this one metric that you're really trying to move.
Yeah, and I saw in the chat as well, there were a couple of people who called out ACV as one of the things that they're looking to increase or improve. I'm going to assume that that's average contract value. Correct me if I'm wrong in there. I know that some folks use that in. Anyway, average contract value increase. And there are a couple of ways that you can do that. The kind of obvious way is to give folks a accelerated commission rate or a bonus for closing larger deals. However, that can cause some strange behaviors where people are just trying to get up over the $20,000 mark so that they get that bonus. And instead, I might take it a step back and go even further back in the funnel and focus on, again, to Ryan's point, like, we know that deals with whatever, in our ideal customer profile with manufacturing companies are going to have higher average contract values. And so therefore, I'm going to give you a higher commission rate if you have close a deal within the ICP, because those have higher ACVs. Same thing could go for discounting. I've seen rules around discounting where, like, the reason that our ACV is low is because our reps are discounting substantially. Well, you could create either rules or even a compensation plan around that, where you get a different commission rate depending upon how much you've discounted it.
So Graham, we had 2 questions coming through chat. First one for Brittany: can you expand on the decelerator for monthly deals? We do, in kind of a product-led sales PLG world, a lot of customers we work with are offering like monthly commitments and annual commitments, for example. And so if a sales team member is involved in somebody who signs up for just a month-to-month contract, you likely want to give them a lower rate because they're not making a longer term commitment. And so you may not see that like full year's worth of money, for example. So we advise a lot of our customers to do decelerators for a lower commission rate for monthly deals if they're kind of operating in this kind of PLG style model where you don't have to make annual commitments. So that's for Brittany. And then we had another question on how does targeting higher ACV impact margins, Graham? And it could be deeply discounted, and how you think about, so I'll kick the one over to you and I'll give some thoughts as well, but
yeah,
how higher ACV can impact margins based on discounting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's again, where just targeting higher ACVs can be dangerous. And so instead of just saying like, hey, you get a higher commission rate if it's a larger contract, instead, what you may want to do is focus on the things that cause those higher ACVs, whether it's because of lack of discounting or because of industry or because of, something else that is actually causing those higher ACVs. Because you're absolutely right. Just saying we want higher ACVs can be dangerous, because then somebody may target whales and discount them 50%, and all of a sudden that erodes a lot of your margin.
Yeah, and so I've seen some customers before say you can unlock this like higher commission rate for larger deals only if you meet like a maximum discounting threshold, right? So like you only get a higher rate if that discount is less than 20% or something like that. Just to make sure that you're not having somebody act as a bad actor. And then Lucas had a good question on like outbound source deals for CAC. This comes up a lot when you have customers who are spending, or like, how does that work? Or can you elaborate on that? This comes up for us a lot when we have customers who are spending a fair amount of marketing dollars to drive pipeline. That is quite costly. And so from a paid search perspective or other components, they have like a high marketing dollar CAC burden paired with headcount burden. So the thought here is that if you have team members who are sourcing their own pipeline, you didn't have to spend marketing dollars against it, and so can help from a CAC perspective, is what we've seen in a couple cases. Graham, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to. That's not always the case, but that's something that we've seen for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, like all of these, this is sort of nuanced and unique to each business. I have seen situations where I've recommended somebody doesn't pay a higher commission rate on a multi-year deal, where because of their retention rate is so high and they have baked in upsells or price lifts. So I actually don't recommend it. Number two lever you can pull here is the chat's in my way, but conducting a comp plan health check. So, and identifying where to make adjustments. So if you can head to comp.quotapath.com. We have a tool that allows you to plug your information in, and it has some metrics as to whether that's healthy or not. But Ryan, I think that this goes to your point of like, do those compensation plans actually target what you hope they are doing? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I'm often involved in prospect demos sometimes, or people coming in who are looking at QuotaPath, and the question that I always ask, and I get kind of mixed answers to, is what's the point of this comp plan? Like, what are you trying to drive? And sometimes the answer that I get is, oh, well, this is how we've always done comp plans, or I got handed this comp plan, I'm not really sure what it's supposed to do. But at the end of the day, like, you have a comp plan for a reason. You're trying to incentivize actions within your organization. So my biggest piece of advice is just write down what that thing you're trying to drive is with your comp plan. And yes, quota attainment and like, everybody wants to expand the revenue of their business, whether from an ARR perspective or revenue booked or what have you. That's kind of the baseline thing. But you're going to have accelerators or other ways in which reps can earn additional money. What are those, and what are those doing for metrics for your business? So let's say you only have a base rate commission rate, but you have accelerators for overachievement. Well, you're accelerating because you want to drive large amounts of revenue for the business. And if revenue growth is your only North Star metric, that's a good place to start. But then the question is, what are other ways in which your reps can unlock more money? And what are the human, doing on a day-to-day basis that is then driving improvements for some metric of your business? And so that's the connection that I would just ask this group as you build comp plans for next year to write down and be very intentional about. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, and then there are a couple of other important components of a comp plan health check, which are, is my team hitting quota? Is too much of my team hitting quota, or is not enough of my team hitting quota? Is that quota to OTE ratio healthy? This goes to the bottom portion there, goes to the point about, do they actually drive towards the thing that you're looking at? Almost 40% of people admitted that their comp plans contradict the goals of their business, which is something I see a lot, where somebody says, I don't get it. My reps are continuing to sell our professional services offering, even though I don't want them to. Well, how much are you paying them to do that? Well, it's actually easier for them to sell that, and they're also getting paid more for it. Well, you're telling them, that's the beauty of sales reps. They do exactly what you tell them to do. It's the best thing and the worst thing about sales reps. And so if you're telling them to sell the professional services offering, they're going to do it. And you're sometimes implicitly telling them using your comp plan.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing I would say here is you can't blame the rep for using your comp plan to their advantage. Like, if they're doing everything within the scope of the comp plan, but it's not driving the outcomes that you're looking for, then that's a function of the plan, right? So I've seen instances where people have not had accelerators for monthly before, and they have discounts on annual. They have discounts on annual contracts. So actually, the rep can make more money if she keeps the deal monthly than if it's an annual deal, because of the difference in rates, for example. And there are some of those nuances, right? I've seen ones where there are a rep earns a milestone of X percentage of their revenue is from a certain product. And so then they sell one big white whale on a certain product and then just stop working because they know that if they sell more of the other product, it's going to dilute their rate and they're going to fall below a big milestone. So
No,
it's just like you have to
money,
play
yeah.
those games with all the things that can mess you up. And you can't blame the rep for doing what is going to earn them the most money as a function of your comp plan.
And one of the points later on, we'll talk a little bit about that, but ask your reps how they would game the plan. You know, how do you interpret this? How do you feel like, what do you think we're telling you to do with this plan? So, well, hey, it's right here. How about that? Uncover what motivates reps. So this can change. Obviously, this can change over time. This can change person by person as well. So it's important to have those conversations with those reps as you're building those compensation plans. And then also make sure that you are using that as motivation for those reps. So not everybody is incredibly motivated by money. I mean, everybody in sales is at least somewhat motivated by money. You know, this isn't philanthropy. We're not doing this out of the goodness of our hearts. But there are a lot of people who are really motivated by getting a promotion or hitting quota or having everybody see that they are the top seller or whatever. And so asking your reps and figuring that out, what does motivate them? And that can be done either via surveys or via one-on-ones, and then you can get creative from there. So a couple of examples on this. We have seen that we saw a study that revealed that teams are motivated by team competition. My goodness. So if you ask your team, hey, we're all motivated by team competition, you can create a team-wide spiff. And I love team spiffs, whether that's, hey, the team, you know, if you have multiple teams, the team that sells the most gets to go out on a boat, or, you know, gets to go out to a fancy dinner or get a happy hour, or if our collective team achieves something, we all get to do something, or we all get a bonus. It can increase team bonding. It can create more of a mentality of working together and also some mentorship. And then again, this is just a specific example. You have a one-on-one with a rep. They're saving for a European vacation. It's great. So then you can look, are you going to hit your numbers? Are you actually going to be able to get that earnings in order to go on that vacation using what you currently have in your pipeline? If not, let's focus on doing outbounding. Or maybe then you roll out a team-wide outbounding spiff and use that rep as the flag bearer for you of going and actually doing that outbounding.
Yeah, we're also in, prime comp planning season right now. And so my biggest piece of advice here is like grab some time one-on-one with your reps and ask them what they like and don't like about your comp plan as it stands today. And if they could wave a magic wand, what they would change. Now, you're not going to go make all those changes, but at least when you do roll out your plan for next year, you can throw them a bone or two on some wins that they're going to feel like, okay, Ryan listened to this problem that I have with my comp plan. So maybe it's that they are frustrated that they're only being paid quarterly and that they want more consistent like revenue payout. So what components of their plan could you actually pay them on a monthly basis, but what do you have to keep quarterly? What are the, or they feel like they should get an accelerator for this type of thing they think is really good for the business. And you do the math and say, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. So I would just make that list one-on-one. My favorite interview question with a rep is, what do you love and not love? Or if you could wave the magic wand, what would you do to your comp plan? Now some of them are just going to say, I want higher commission rates, which, it's a natural response. But what are those like smaller things that they would change that when you do roll out changes to your comp plan next year, you can kind of earn favor of the team in that way as well.
Yeah, and if you, furthermore, if somebody says, I want a higher commission rate, that gives you an opportunity to do some education with them around where those commission rates come from. Commission rates are a function of two things. They're a function of what your variable is and what your quota is. And so put incredibly simply, it's your variable divided by your quota gives you that commission rate. And so by explaining that to them, I'm sorry, we got some dogs barking here. By explaining that to them, you can also give them education and provide some transparency into their compensation plan. How about that transition?
Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you so much. Obviously, we work at QuotaPath. We do this. We do commission tracking, commission automation. However, even I'll be QuotaPath agnostic here. 17, almost 20% of revenue leaders said that visibility is the biggest area of improvement for their plans. And this isn't just commission and commission tracking. This is also the visibility of the plans and the details of the plan. How are you rolling out that plan? A lot of times it's like, oh, I send it to them, I email it to them, or even worse, like HR just sends them a DocuSign of their compensation plan. And if that's how you're rolling out your compensation plan, you're doing it wrong, because you need to educate the team on how they hit accelerators, why you feel like that is the fair accelerator, what it is you want them to do. Comp plans themselves are complicated, and a lot of times people can miss components of them and not realize that if they had the customer pay with net 30, they get an extra percentage point or whatever. And so sitting down and actually explaining it to folks is important as well.
I also like to say, like, what's the best deal that you can close? Like, what is the thing that you can really make the most money on if you close, an outbound 3-year that you demo and close within 30 days, you can make this wild rate. So at least you can walk through like what perfect looks like. Now, a very small percentage of a team member's deals are going to check all the accelerator boxes. But if you're trying to drive them to close deals earlier in the quarter, you have a fast start spiff where if they demo and close within a really short time frame, they get extra points. And if it's outbound, and if it's a longer term contract, for example. So I like to walk the team through like what a perfect deal looks like for them, where they can earn the most money possible, so that you can kind of align that here are the actions that I'm looking for you to take as well.
And I don't know if we have any finance folks on the line here, but it's a very dangerous thing to make sure your finance person isn't around while you're having that conversation, because sometimes if you add all of those perfect things together, it can end up being a very expensive deal.
But I think that's important too, Graham. Like, we get a lot of questions about Bluebird deals or, hey, I overpaid. Like, I actually would walk the finance person through that. If you're an ops person, I'd walk with them through that first and just say, hey, like, let's just make sure that, if Beth closes this deal, this like perfect deal, she could make like, 27% commission rate because it's just like all these combos. Like, are we comfortable with this or not? Because I'd rather have that conversation now than when she closes this like $5 million out of the blue quick close sort of situation. Like, you're going to get really, you're going to be your reps are going to be very upset. Yeah, like Brittany's point, that's how you get the team bought in.
Well, question for you guys on that, because actually there was a conversation in the community about this over the last few weeks where someone posted like, hey, basically like one of our reps broke our comp plan. Like they closed some like massive deal, checked a bunch of these boxes, right? And now they're like, what do we do? And I think everyone in the community was kind of like, pay them. But now I'm curious, like in those cases, right, where obviously like that came as a surprise. And so, there's some things you can do up front of, providing that visibility, going through the math, understanding. But what about when those things, because those things do happen, right? So what happens in those cases, right? How should folks react, make adjustments, not make adjustments, those sorts of things? Like, what do you do when you maybe find yourself in that sort of scenario?
I say not just pay them with a smile on your face, because they did exactly what you asked them to do. I mean, and that's the thing is like, if you screwed up and built a plan where somebody can break it, well, you asked them to do that. They did it. They get paid 27% or get paid $500,000 or whatever. I always have a line in all of my comp plans as well. It's like, hey, in extreme examples, we can adjust payment terms or whatever. Maybe you're not going to pay them $500,000 commission check right up front. I know that the story of like Zoom, as soon as the pandemic hit, Zoom was getting $500,000, $750,000 checks to all of these sales reps because they were closing ridiculous amounts of money because everybody had to work from home. But I say pay with a smile on your face. And then if you don't want that to happen again, subsequent years, better pressure test and bake it into your plan. That you can't, there's not a cap, but like a decelerator above 500% of quota or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You could also like, I mean, there's a question of it's easy for us to say pay it because I'm not writing the check personally. Like there is a world in which you could also amend your plan moving forward to like you can make that change of the year, but you can also talk to the team transparently and say, hey, look, like we're going to honor this because this was the plan that was live at the time. And you can't amend the plan moving forward to say, I'm paying this deal, but I can't do this for like 15 other deals or so, right? Like it's a question of financial viability of the business too. So if it, I mean, it really depends how big of a deal it is. If this is a situation in which like you're going to, if 5 more of these deals close, you're going to start running out of money or something like that. That's a different severity than, oh, are you just frustrated that you had to play this one person? So there are ways in which you can say, and that's why you'd be really transparent with the team, like with the people closing, and just say, hey, look, like this happened. We're going to pay it. Here's the challenge. Like we are going to have to make X, Y, and Z change, whether that's at the new year or more immediately. Because we made a mistake and be like transparent about that as well. So I think if you're going to make a change, you have to be open and honest with the team that you made a mistake, right? And that you messed up and that you have to, but the person who closed the deal still has to be paid for that amount because they did, to Graham's point, exactly what you told them to do.
Yes. And Sean called it out here as well. Like, yes, sometimes they did something sketchy and that's how they were able to do this. You know, I mean, I guess it says maybe that's not what you're alluding to there, but sometimes they can do things that are sketchy, and I would do my homework on that and make sure there's not something else going on there that means that you shouldn't pay them. But 99.
Yeah, I didn't see. They checked the. I think it's more they checked the combination of bosses you didn't think they were going to.
Yeah, that was my bad. I actually misread it. I was trying to listen and talk. I thought that Sean was saying like checking a series of boxes that they shouldn't have been able to check. You know, like
Yeah. But I think I guess and maybe that to just bring that all full circle is like provide the visibility and the transparency on those things after the fact, just like you would up front, right? You know, if something like this happens and you need to make changes to your comp plan going forward, just be visible and transparent with the team about why, right? And like again, bring it to like, you know, show them like, hey, here's the reason why, like if we continue to do this on these types of deals, why things like our customer acquisition costs or the viability of like a sustainable business would kind of be in question, right? Like that's the reason why we can't do these things. We want you to be very well paid, and so that's why we're making these adjustments and to continue to have a place to work, right? So
Yeah.
So yeah, be transparent after the fact, just like you would up front. And you know, again, doesn't mean that folks are necessarily going to be happy or pleased, but at least they know the reasons why.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I say at the start of every conversation that I have with our team, like every year when we do this, is I'd love to pay you 50% rate, but you'd have a job for a couple months and then we'd be out of money. Like, you know, I'd love to pay you as high a rate as humanly possible, but if I did that, here's what would happen, and then it wouldn't be beneficial for you in the long term. So I'm going to pay you the highest rate that I can in order for these deals to be like viable for the business effectively.
Yeah.
I always say that sales leaders want to pay their reps as much as possible, and finance wants to pay as little as possible, and that's why you have RevOps, which is exactly what Ryan said. He wants to pay as much and as little, or the exact right amount, which is why we love having RevOps involved. And then finally, using variable compensation outside of just individual contributor or direct sales. Sales compensation motivates everyone. I said it earlier, like nobody's doing this as a charity. You know, they wouldn't show up and do their job every day, you know, writing lines of code or working with customers just out of the goodness of their heart. So compensation motivates everyone, not just the sales rep. So I really like company-wide incentives or building plans for the CS and account manager teams, the BDR and the SDR, which we'll talk about. But we have a couple of examples here. We have company-wide incentives, so variable compensation across the entire organization, again, using that North Star metric or that metric X or whatever you determine to be, making sure that this is pretty high level, meaning, you know, maybe not ACV, that seems a little specific, but instead focusing on maybe net ARR growth or retention or whatever that metric may be. that they feel like they actually can have an impact on that metric. And then it can be all kinds of different things. It can be a one-time cash bonus. It can be taking the percentage of their base salary and paying it as a bonus. It can be additional equity grants. It can be team-based like events or trips, or hey, an upgrade to a hey, if we hit this target, instead of doing an on-site meeting in our office, we're going to go off-site to Miami or whatever.
It's also fun. So two things that Graham called out here. One is you want it to be something that the company can like rally around and understand very clearly. I typically like net revenue growth or net ARR growth or net revenue retention, or something that people can very easily understand. If we grow from 18 million to 24 million this year, you unlock X, Y, and Z, right? So it's very easy to track. It's very easy to thermometer, and they can like pace alongside it. And then the second really big thing here is having a place for them to track it, right? So like, what's a place that people can log in and understand how they're pacing, and having that be pretty centralized for access overall. So we like doing that in QuotaPath for the team. One, it's a great way to dog food the product. Everybody in the company is in it checking, okay, how are we pacing towards this goal? Which is great for us as well. So the combination of like make it something that's in the scope of their, that they influence in some capacity, and that is in a place that they can track pretty consistently, are the two big things I think about here.
Awesome. And then we have another couple of examples here on spiffs. So again, don't just limit those spiffs to your sales team. Instead, you could look at things like perfect onboarding NPS, or securing meetings, or upsells, whatever it may be. So you can do spiffs across the organization. Maybe you want to do a spiff for an engineering team where if they launch a product earlier than expected or whatever, they can unlock some sort of spiff. So again, those are the 5 levers that we identified to pull.
So I'm
oh yeah, Matt, did you have something?
Before we move on from that, so I'm always curious, if you go back one slide, it's like, it's like you have this natural curiosity, like of Slack, for example. Well, how does Slack use Slack? Or Notion, of like, well, how does Notion use Notion? So now I'm curious, like, you guys are, QuotaPath is, comp plan kind of experts, gurus, right? So I'm like, well, how does QuotaPath do comp? Like, what are the 5 levers that QuotaPath is pulling? So I'm just curious, like, what can you guys share with us about any of these things, right? Like, what's your North Star metric? How do you conduct your comp plan health checks? What are some of the things at the top of your list to uncover what kind of motivates your reps? How do you provide visibility? Like, how do you kind of look at those 5 things for QuotaPath as a company and org?
Yeah, I can take a stab at it. Fun thing is I design and roll out comp plans for the team, so it's a very meta job here. North Star metric, we have a couple ones that we consider, but really for comp specifically, North Star metric is net ARR growth for the org more broadly. And so for people outside or kind of more broadly in the organization, we target on net ARR growth of the business. So for non-commission earning team members who are on these variable plans, like product and engineering and marketing, what have you, they're focused on that metric. And then within the rest of the org, from a sales and business development and account management position, it's kind of the same themes that I talked about earlier. We're really focused on early renewals and pulling in revenue early and securing from a gross revenue potential perspective. So early renewals and longer term contracts are big things for us. So some of the examples that I gave earlier, we've applied within QuotaPath as well. And then we're so it's really improving gross revenue retention, constantly watching and making sure we can pull renewals early and get people on longer term contracts are big focuses of ours. And then driving outbound pipeline is another huge focus of our team. So those are some of the ways in which we drive accelerators for our sales team, our BDR team, and our customer success team as well. On health checks, we look at payouts quarterly. At the end of a quarter, did we achieve what we expected to achieve? Are we making progress on the metric that we're looking for? Is a higher percentage of our revenue meeting this criteria? Is it in longer term contracts, or was it renewed earlier? That sort of thing. So tracking that quarter-over-quarter. I do these interviews. I was talking about this before. I interview all of our reps when rolling out new plans. So ask them, hey, what do you like about your comp plan? What do you not like? What things can we change, and take that into mind. We're kind of in that interviewing process right now. We provide visibility in quota path. That's the easy one. That's the layup. And then we have everybody in quota path has a variable comp plan in some component. So everybody is using the product to track their overall business growth, and then the dollars that they get as a portion of that. Graham, I know there's anything else you wanted to add.
You pretty much nailed it. That was great. Yeah. And I can attest that Ryan does all of those things. We have a Slack channel where we are kicking off the review of comp plans for 2024 right now, and what changes do we want to make. And I'm sure that Ryan's going to be doing those interviews if he hasn't already done them with the sales reps.
Nice. It's awesome.
And it is important. This slide is bright orange for a reason. It is important because 83% of companies have reported that they've had reps exit due to commission errors. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you grab a group of people, maybe at a sales kickoff, and you say, who here has left a job because of a commission error, you may get 10-15% of people. But if you say, who knows somebody who has, virtually every hand will be up in the air. And I've experienced it at a couple of different companies, reps leaving because their commission check is wrong. Sometimes they leave before they can get it clawed back, or sometimes they leave because they're so mad that 3 quarters in a row their commission check is wrong, and it screws up with their mortgage and all that stuff. Once again, QR code, download the comp trends survey. It's excellent. I love it. I'm a big nerd and I love these kinds of things, but I'm sure that of y'all, there are probably some nerds out there as well. We've got contact information at the bottom there. We'd love any questions in the chat. Feel free to toss those in there. Like I said before, we did get a couple of specific questions after the 101 session that I want to address real quick, but then we can talk through the other questions that may come through in chat. One of the questions was around SDR compensation plans. I think about SDR compensation plans as what you're trying to balance is SDR control versus the benefit to the company. So how much control does the actual SDR have on the outcome versus what is the intrinsic benefit to the company? I ran a 45-person SDR team at my last company. And the 3 most common things that you see are going to be just number of demos. So, $50 for every demo they set that happens. Revenue. So 5% of any deal that closes that you created, or some sort of qualified ops. And this can be anything from the demo happened and it was a sales accepted lead, all the way through to like it's gone into a proof of concept or sent a proposal. And so that qualified ops can shift throughout that x-axis there quite a bit. And then I do have just an example here of a blended plan. There's a lot of information here. So, but this is a pretty much exactly what my plan was when I ran the SDR team in my last company. There's a portion dedicated to number of demos held. There's a portion dedicated to number of opportunities or qualified opportunities created. And then there's a portion dedicated to commission that they get if a deal closes. And so finding that right balance of where you want to go is important. You 2 or 3 different components. Anything more than 3, you get messy, but this is an example of that kind of
yeah. And the big thing here, I get a lot of questions about SDR and BDR comp plans. The thing I think a lot about is you have to combine and control for quantity and quality. And this is kind of your best way to do so, right? So from a quantity perspective, how many demos are they bringing in? How many new people are they having show up to the front door? But if you only comp on demos that are occurring, for example, you could find yourself really sacrificing quality, right? So at SDR or BDR, you see those sorts of things at the end of a quarter. You probably see these on LinkedIn where it's like, hey, I'm 1 demo away from hitting my target. Could you like throw me a bone and book a demo with me? I see those pretty frequently on LinkedIn. And so, yeah, I can book a demo with you and like do you a favor and get you over quota. But if I have no intent to buy, then it's basically a worthless effort on your part, right? So I like combining the demo with something more down funnel that's just controlling for that quality. Now maybe, in that example, I was being a little harsh, like maybe I could end up liking the project and buying, right? That wasn't my intent there. But I'm just saying, if you only had somebody comped on demos that they're running from a SDR, BDR perspective, you don't incentivize them really in any way to drive high quality demos, versus if you have this blended approach where the revenue from their demos that's closed, they get paid for as well, you have both a quantity and quality component here.
Yep. Good call out. Another question was around usage-based compensation plans. So this, imagine like based on the number of API calls. So I sign a contract as a customer. I don't pay anything for a platform fee or anything, and I just pay 1 cent for every API call. Well, I don't know exactly, or well, maybe I don't know exactly how many API calls I'm going to use. It may change month by month. So that would be like a usage-based compensation plan. How do you pay those sales reps? And I see that there are two kind of pure ways of paying those reps. Number one is going to be based off of estimated revenue. So the customer says, hey, we expect to do 1 million API calls this year, whatever. Okay, great. We're just going to do 1 cent for each of those and pay you 10% of that. Good to go. There you are. You'll notice that I have a similar supply demand curve here where we have accuracy versus speed of outcome. That's a really high speed of outcome. You pay the rep based on the estimates pretty much immediately. The alternative is the actual revenue, where you don't pay them anything until the end of the month. So in January, they did 100,000 API calls, and then in February, they did 40,000 or whatever, and you actually pay based on that. Again, the accuracy, very high. The speed of the outcome, it takes a full year for that person to get full value, for that rep to get full value out of that customer. So Ryan, I know that you have some ideas around the kind of the in-between here. I know there's a few listed here, but what do you like to do for that?
Yeah, I typically like to do some sort of blended approach here where you have an estimate of how much they are going to spend in the year, or how many calls based on like scoping that you've done, and pay a component of their rate based off of that estimate. And then once you make your way through the quarters, you can effectively true up that in one way or another. So say, hey, by the end of the first half of their contract, for example, are they on pace to be where they expected to be? If they're way over, you can pay them the positive difference. And if not, you can do some sort of clawing back mechanism there. And so that you can control for both revenue or like kind of commission speed for the rep early on, but knowing that they actually have to achieve what they're projecting as well. But I typically, what I don't like to see is you pay the full value of that up front and then do large clawbacks. So I like to do a balance of, hey, half of what you're going to earn potentially on this deal is going to be paid up front, and then the other half throughout we're going to like true up over the course of time. Because I hate to pay you $10,000 in January, and then turns out that you only use like 20% of your contracts. Now I'm clawing back something like $8,000 or something like that. And it's very concerning from a finance perspective for like cash protection, because if that rep gets their payment up front and then they leave, you don't really have the control of clawback over time. So how do you combine that and increment it in a way that's effective for them? And sometimes I've seen longer tenured reps be afforded more grace in that too. Newer reps have to like wait to earn the money over time versus more tenured reps and things like that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to how good you are at estimates, right? If you can estimate pretty accurately, it's easier to pay on that estimated revenue. We did have another question here about from Kimberly. Any advice on the best practice in dealing with partner network and incentivizing direct reps to work with partners? I'm not sure I totally understand the question. Ryan, I don't know if you do, or if Kimberly, maybe you want to hop off mute and explain it a little bit more to us.
Sure. Well, if you have a partner network and you're giving them larger discounts because they're reselling the product, the net total ends up being less than if a direct rep sells the deal directly themselves. So how would you, or have you seen people incentivize that so that if they're working with a partner, it's not that they're making less money, it's kind of a quantity versus quality. They're going to get more deals that someone's helping them with, bringing it in through the partner network. But we're trying to figure out kind of how to incentivize that, make it a little bit richer. There was thoughts and tossed around like doing multi-year deals, incentivizing that if it goes through the partner network. That was just kind of like one example.
Yeah. So that's one of those questions about like, how difficult is it to sell? What is the average contract value? Like, how much do I get paid on it? It's kind of the effort to impact ratio there. Like, in this situation, as a sales rep or as a sales leader, I might message to that rep like, look, yeah, it's quite a bit lower contract value. I'm just going to use easy numbers here. Instead of a $10,000 deal, it's a $5,000 deal, but it's way more than twice as likely to close. Like, the close rate on this is 3 times because we're working with this partner. And so your effort is actually substantially lower, and the impact is lower, but not nearly as low. And so these are actually good situations, good deals for you to work on. Now, you could also do some sort of like thing to prove that to them. Their first deal that they close with a new partner, they get a spot bonus of $100 or whatever. I don't know, the contract values adjusted accordingly, but you could create something like that. My concern with doing like hey, you get paid a higher commission rate with those deals is that, much like paying a different commission rate on inbound versus outbound, is like, you want them to focus on these deals equally, unless you don't want them to focus on them equally, in which case pay them more for the partner sourced ones. So determining like how much effort do you want them to put into it, and making sure that the outcome is aligned with that effort.
Yeah, and I think the other piece, I agree with Graham 100%. I think the big question that I would ask is, how much of your revenue is this partner source revenue today? Are you happy with where that percentage is? Do you want it to be a higher percentage of your revenue from a like contractual obligation perspective? And so how do you, if you want it to be bigger, to Graham's point, then incentivize the team to drive more of that in one way or another. But if you don't, then don't make like major changes to that either.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think Connie's point's a really good one. You like do a spiff early on. I mean, it's kind of like when you go into a new territory, a partner is like kind of treated like a new territory where you say, hey, this is a little bit of an experiment. I'm going to give you a higher rate. It's kind of like ramping into partner in a way. And so maybe you do like some sort of ramp quota for partner. Like if you close up to your first like 30K in partner deals you close, you earn like an elevated rate. Just so they can see, okay, this is what it's like to close these deals, to get that kind of momentum or spiff impact there as well.
Yeah, like I put peanut butter on my dog's heartworm pills. Put peanut butter on it. It's good for him in the long run. He may not realize it. It's good for him in the long run. He gets the advantage of the peanut butter, and we all get the advantage of him not having heartworm in the long run. Now, if he was a human, I could explain that to him, and he would then take his heartworm pills every month without issue, but
not guaranteed. Still not guaranteed.
I mean, it's the reason that I take vitamins now. I was probably given gummy vitamins as a kid, and then as I grew up, I realized that I needed to take them for my health. And so the same thing goes for sales reps. Sometimes you have to reward them for doing things that they may not be convinced are the right thing. I like this green background because it's giving me a real witchy look.
Yeah, of course.
On my face here. So
I think Graham, we're all set on time.
Yeah. How about that? I appreciate everybody sticking around to the end here. Again, feel free to reach out. I'm sorry I messed up Ryan's email address. It is ryan.milligan@quotapath.com, or
all good.
Get it, but appreciate everybody.
Yeah, if you have any questions, we dropped our kind of comp plan consulting link, so happy to do a deeper dive and show you around and help you with comp design and get you set up for next year as well. So please take advantage of that too.
Yeah, thanks y'all for joining. Ryan, Graham, appreciate it as always. And yeah, for anyone looking for some free kind of expert advice, definitely kind of grab some time from Ryan. I mean, again, you get VP of RevOps advice on comp plans, and if anything, is just another kind of ear to listen and provide some perspective. So hit them up on that, get the comp trends report for sure, tons of valuable data in there. And then as always, these guys and the rest of the QuotaPath team will be around the community. So feel free to interact, engage with them there as well. But on that note, I will let y'all run since we are at time. So have a good rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Happy month end. Get those deals in. Don't make your RevOps teams upset. And if you're on deal desk duty today, my thoughts are with you. I'm thinking of you. I'm sending as many good vibes as I can. So happy Halloween. Happy end of the fiscal quarter, maybe for some of us. And with that, I'll let you all run. So take it easy, y'all.
Thanks,
Bye, all.
team. See ya.
Yeah, see ya.